Hi everybody, so next we're gonna do a 3/4 view from the side. So this would be the front view, this is the side view, and then the 3/4 view is right like this. You will see a little angle, that's because of perspective, but because, you can include perspective, but because we're beginners, let's keep it simple. And I'm gonna remove the perspective. And we see that it's just 4 rectangles. I think it makes intuitive sense. So let's get started. So by the way, in the full course, we will be doing all these 9 views. The full course is available on Skillshare and Udemy, link in the description. So as usual, we're going to start by drawing in the blocks. Let me just hide the other layers and put this opacity back to 100%. I'm just going to temporarily make another temporary layer up here, and I'm going to just draw from the top view what we want. So it's still a square. We see that this distance is a bit less than this distance, and this distance will be equivalent to the height. So the center line, or the middle, is going to come down like this. And then these sides will be down over here. So this is going to be the front face. Let's shade it. And that's the side. And this now we can further subdivide into the 4 squares. And on the side, 4 squares as well. And now we're going to put in the jawline too. Let's just put in halfway. And over here too, it's going to be halfway between here and here. Remember, though, these are only guidelines and they don't have to be precise. So as you can see, when the cubes are rotated by 45 degrees, the width of each cube face appears to be less than the height of the cube face. This is an example of foreshortening. So in other words, the side that's turned away from us gets narrower and narrower the further it turns. So we can use math to show that at 45 degrees, the length of that distance, as we see it from the side, would be approximately 71% of its actual length. So in other words, the width of each rectangle has to be approximately 71% of the height of the rectangle. Who knew maths could actually be useful when it comes to art? Now we know. If you're somebody who likes numbers like me, that might be helpful for you. Just remember, when it's 45 degrees, it looks about 70% shorter than it actually is. If you're somebody who doesn't like numbers, don't worry, you don't need to know all that stuff. You just need to get some practice and you will get rather an intuitive feel for it. Okay, so moving on, I see I've actually been painting on the wrong layer by mistake. So I just have to rearrange these layers quickly a little bit using the selection tool and Control X for cut. And I'm gonna merge this layer with the layer it's supposed to be on and move it a bit more to the center. Next, we're gonna go have a look at the basic forms. Okay, starting with the side of the face, we draw this circle. But since we are looking at it from an angle, the side of the face now appears to be an oval rather than a circle. Again, this is because of foreshortening. As the circle rotates away from us, it appears to get narrower and narrower, but the height stays the same. Next, we would draw the top of the cranium, and then we would draw in the center line of the face, and then the other side of the face. And then we're going to start working on the jaw. But before we continue on our sketch, now would be a good moment to explain a bit more about the jaw. So I'm going to make another temporary layer, and I'm going to go back to Blender. And I'm just going to take a quick screenshot. Jawline will follow this front line, the chin, and then it will go 1/3 of the way in this way. On the back of the jaw, it's going to be over here approximately, and it's going to follow this line down about 1/3 of the way. And then you've got this line connecting the two. So that's an approximation of the jawline in three-dimensional space. In real life, it's a bit more complicated than that, of course. So also for reference, let me draw in the front of the jaw. The teeth would be up here. The upper jaw and the cheekbones would go something like this. And the teeth of the lower jaw and the front of the lower jaw would be over here. So now that we have a better idea of where the jawbone is placed, let's apply this to our sketch. So we start by drawing a line down here, which represents where the back of the jaw meets the ear. And this distance goes about 1/3 of the way down. And then we've got the front of the chin, which follows the bottom line of the bottom cube, which then takes an abrupt right turn, which continues following the bottom line of the cube. From this view, it looks like just a straight line, but in our mind's eye, we know that it's taking an abrupt turn. And after that abrupt turn, it goes down again only 1/3 of the way of the cube, more or less. And then we simply join these two lines, and that represents the jaw. The jaw is bone, but when it comes to the cheeks, we have to bear in mind that we have a bunch of tissues and muscles hanging over here. Okay, next. What I like to do is I'd like to draw on the brow line, which is just the center line of this square, of this cube. And then to help me with the jawline, with the cheekbones, I just like to draw in a line like this. Then goes down like that, and the same on this side. And that's the basic forms. Next we're going to draw in the features in blue. So remember, these forms are only a guideline. At this stage you have to use your intuition a bit and a bit of try on error to get the right shapes. In fact, it usually helps if we decrease the opacity of the lower two layers so that we can focus a bit more on the rough sketch of the features. And remember that there'll be a bit of a, I don't know how to call it, you know, it's just under, you have a bit of a cavity over here, like this, where the eye socket is. When it comes to the nostrils, they're all the way back here, hugging against this part of the face. And then you've got the mouth over here. We can use this corner to guide us about where the cheekbones are. And once we're done, the finish lines. And then it's time to add the coloring. And as you know, next it's time for shading. As usual, we will use the cubes and the forms to help guide us when it comes to where to put in the shading. Let's pick a creative place to put the light source, just to experiment. Remember, if we don't like this, we can easily change it later. This is again another perk of being digital. So if you're on pencil and paper, sorry, but you'd better be more careful than I'm being right now, because it would be much harder to make any kind of corrections to shading. Well, it certainly looks interesting, but I think I prefer a more conventional approach after all. So let's put the light up here instead and see what happens. Okay, so that's it for the 3/4 view. In the next video, we are going to do 2 in 1. We will go back to the side view, but we're gonna have the face looking upwards and the face looking downwards. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye for now.